gonna start? Oh shit! Actually, what? One last thing. Did you decide on creature, little creature, or big creature?
Little creature.
Little creature, little bunny with wings and then the lion
Yeah.
tail. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's got
Just a
good
little guy.
vibes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got good vibes. All right, we shall begin. Um, you are from a tribal people. Um, a set of nature-loving kids out in the forest. You've made your small home in this beautiful grotto of um, trees that seem to uh, emanate a soft light, amplifying the sunlight through their leaves. And in the center of your small village, a circular pool, um, filled with magical energies that sustain you, keep all of you alive. And it is in this grotto, in this forest, um, that you have your home.
Mhm.
Elsewhere is not a particularly well trodden forest, but you've lived here for as long as you can remember. You were born here, raised here. Um, your mothers before you, raising you up. Congrats, you have two gay moms.
Yeah.
um, and you've learned to love the forest that surrounds. Are in essence the keepers of this forest, of the magical energy that provides here and all of the creatures within. And as many others, your rite of passage comes, and you are sent to become part of the village, to have your creature come to you. Um, it's a multi-day ordeal. Um, that happens once a year. Sent from the village, told not to come back until it has come to you. Um, and this isn't really seen as a damnation of sorts. This isn't a, oh, don't come back or else. This is just the routine, what's expected to happen. Of course, there's never
Mhm.
been any other case where there hasn't been. But as you wander into the forest, as you gently brush aside um, bits of brush and bramble, looking for what calls to you as your companion. Um, you instead find a girl. Um, she has dirtied feet. She's been walking in the forest for who knows how long without shoes on. She has a thin, very delicate looking dress. Um, and soft features worn from exhaustion as she lays on the ground, passed out.
Oh.
See pink hair, withering branches um, at don't know what to call that region of your brain. Sweats. Uh,
Head.
head. Yeah, that's the word.
Crown? Crown, I
Yeah,
guess,
yeah,
could be
yeah,
the
yeah. Your
word.
crown, your crown. There you go. These withering branches have only like the hints of green towards their base that eventually blend with the bark-like structures of the horns themselves, kind of ending in a dead point. Excuse me, if I could stop hiccuping, that'd be great. Um, and she's just laying there. What do you do?
Uh, Probably just stand there for a solid, like, 10 seconds in surprise. Um, God. Like, she's just unconscious, right? If I go over and look.
Roll me a medicine check.
Okay. Uh, I'm good at that.
The
Well.
dice, not so much. Um, well, it's easy to tell that she's breathing. You can also tell that her breaths are shallow, almost. Not shallow, but labored. They're big, heavy breaths that move her whole torso, delicate looking body, as
Hmm.
she sleeps, as she rests. Um, roll
Uh,
me one more medicine check. Hey.
Oops.
As you kind of are looking her over once more, kind of gently touching her skin, which looks too fair almost to be real. You notice that some of the cuts on her feet are infected, um, and her skin is warm to the touch. She needs more medical care than you can provide as a single person
Yeah.
out here.
Hmm. Been told not to come back. Uh, how how in trouble would I be if I go back
There's
without?
not really
There's not really a precedent, I
a
imagine.
precedent. Yeah, it's not. It's just not expected. It's not like it's not a condemnation necessarily. You're
Hmm.
expected to go back in dire circumstances for food, um for water. That's not part of the challenge. You are expected to know generally how to find these things in the wild for yourself. Um,
Hmm.
but something like this has not really been seen. The only equivalent you can think of is times you've seen where people brought their companion back in a similarly malnourished or diseased infected state.
Hmm.
And while you're pretty sure that this is a woman, this is like a whole ass human being, or human is a
I'm
strong
pretty
word,
sure.
um, and not your companion, that is the only comparisons you have to draw off.
Hmm. Well, uh, yeah. I mean, I'm not just gonna. I can't just leave her here. I will. I will very gently scoop her up
Now,
and.
the number one thing that strikes you as you put your arms under her is just how light she is.
Mm.
Um, she definitely looks a little worse for wear. But she's just not. She doesn't look as malnourished as she feels when you pick her up. She's. Roll me Arcana.
Okie dokie. Uh,
Actually does meet the
well.
DC.
Ha!
It's not a very high DC. The main thing that this reminds you of is someone who has not been near magic for too long of a time. This is someone who is malnourished, under underfed, not in the physical sense, not in lacking of food or water, but their spirit is dying because they have not had enough.
Oh.
Um, so rushing through the forest, at this girl's desperate state, you return
Hmm.
back to your village. And there's a few startled people who stand up. The guards, normally sitting by their posts by the gate, um, kind of stand with a start. Um, and they see the girl in your arms. One of them, a rougher kind of man. Rougher isn't quite the word. He has quite the chiseled face, but a really, really patchy beard. um, he sees the girl, spear in one hand. Take it to the medicine. T- take it to the. Take it to the
Yep.
medicine hut. He's kind of looking
I'm
around.
just go. Yeah. I'm.
Yeah. Others start to gather at the commotion, but you push your way through them. They make room, but there are more eyes than you would like, curious
Mhm.
as to what's going on. Um, as you enter, gently lay down on the table the medicine person, right? Doctor of sorts, more versed in the apothecarial than the magic, than the arcane. Um,
Mhm.
comes in very old, woman with gray hair, beads made of carefully whittled stone and bark, kind of hang from strands. Um, she comes over, gently gives a hand. This girl you've. Ah, certainly brought me quite the case indeed, haven't you? And
I know I'm not supposed to come back, but
no, no, this is worth it. To live a life unfulfilled is not the way of our people. Now, let's get her some medicine, shall we? and she gets to work. She begins pulling herbs, various dried forms, from various shelves, pulls you in to grab some things that she somehow managed to put on the higher shelves she now can't reach,
Mm-hmm.
only for the sake of time, which doesn't feel like this girl has much left. Eventually, though, have a salve. Gently, the old woman coaxes you through applying it, gently wrapping thin bandages around her, treating a few other cuts she has, and you on her face. Just a kind of sickly paleness that sits across her skin, but you can already tell, kind of sit beside her, she's doing a little better. And as kind of sit in a wooden chair next to this girl, medicine, the medicine woman, uh, Moana, kind of nods, gently taps her cane around. Done well. She'll make a full recovery, I imagine.
That's good.
Now, why don't you stay here and look after her a little longer? You can tell that her magic is severely depleted. I'll grab some water from the oasis. Back moment.
Of course.
She kind of dips her head, um, walks through the thinly um, gated with, what are those called? Uh, Not quite beads, but long strands that function as a makeshift door to this
Mm-hmm.
medical area. Um, and immediately as she walks out the door, and you hear a pause, just a moment of silence, before you hear her going, "What are you whippersnappers looking at? Get a move on. This isn't your business." Kind of, you hear a small
Yeah.
crowd that has come around disperse, kind of gently, small murmurs, kind of
Get
leaking
'em.
out. Um, you're left alone. The girl, surprise, much faster than you would have originally guessed, kind of opens her eyes. Beautiful golden orbs staring up at yours.
Uh,
Did you? Where am I?
um, you're you're safe. I found you in the woods. Are you all right?
In the woods. I shouldn't have. I was told not to come here. I
What?
should. I need to go. She starts trying to
What?
desperately
Wait.
kind of push herself up.
No, no, hold on. You're really in no state to leave.
I,
Just we won't keep you here. Just rest a little.
that seems give her some comfort. Um, she, with some coaxing, gently by your guided hand, lays back down, looking up at you, still with very tired, worn looking eyes. What's your name?
Anwen.
I didn't think they had any angels here. She kind of closes her eyes, smiling at her own joke. Um,
Yeah. Just like stunned silence and then like full red.
um, she kind of still very shallowly breathing, um, laying there. Thank you.
um yeah, no. Who are you?
There's a moment where roll me insight.
Oh. Oh my god.
You're level 3.
I'm
You're
supposed to
level
be good at
2.
these things.
You're level 2. Alright?
That's true. That's true.
um, there's a moment where she noticeably stiffens, and you're not quite sure if it's because she's forgotten, if
Mm,
she's trying to come up with something, if she wants to keep her, or if she's debating whether or not to tell you.
yeah.
Um,
Uh, it's it's fine. You don't have to.
Babani, I, you can call me Babani, Anwen.
All right.
She kind of weakly manages to move her hand to yours, um, and squeezes with the gentlest of touches. Um, thank you for saving me. And she drifts into sleep. It's at this moment you hear Mona come back through the beaded door, hobbling gently with a bowl with a rune of fire etched into the bottom to keep it lukewarm. She sets um, the bowl down on a stool, um, carefully placed next to the bed for occasions just like this, dipping a cloth in and carefully laying it on Babani's head. Um, um, Making sure the girl is asleep, stable, before you just hear her mutter, "So that was pretty fucking gay." You guys gonna kiss or what?
I don't even know her.
She's obviously getting a kick out of your embarrassment. But, um,
She nearly died.
uh, much to your joy, um, as time begins to pass, Babani heals. It takes her a while to walk. It seems like she's not quite stable on her feet. And but eventually she garners a home here in the village. Um, the time it takes her to properly get on her feet in a condition to stably travel, two of you grow close. You teach a lot to her about your customs, and in the meanwhile, you learn from Moana. Um, she kind of gently starts gaining more and more friends, and originally there's a part of you that's almost jealous. Um,
Yeah.
um, as
I don't think it's a small part.
um,
Well,
it's you tell yourself it's smaller than it is.
yeah.
um, as the branch-like horns begin to darken again in a more healthy brown color, beautiful vines sprouting small flowers as they weave their way up her horns as time passes. Um, Babani has been staying with you, and in a sight that originally drove your gay brain mad, she turns to you in bed next to you, um,
Oh,
and says, I think I'd like to go and become a true member of this village.
really?